Hello, welcome to the Binge Thinker. My name is Jameel Raymond. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here today. Today's podcast is going to be slightly different. This is a bit of a little special. I'm also going to change the format up a little bit. Thank you so much for the people that have listened to the pod so far. It's been really fun to be creating this. I'm going to take this podcast in a bit more of a refined direction. Some of the thoughts that I've had while creating this thing is that, I'm going to be rambly and go, maybe not rambly, but definitely go through tangents and go left and right, which is what my brain does. But I want to be a little bit more articulate about the way I do things. A little bit behind the curtain. The first couple of eps that I had done were unscripted, which made me feel a little bit less confident about what I'm trying to deliver here. I'm definitely concerned about delivering a quality experience and some quality information to people. So I'm just going to make this a little bit more focused. I don't think it'll be as long, but I've definitely written a lot more notes about what I want to do in this pod. So if you're on video, you can see I've got my MacBook up here with a bunch of show notes, a bit of an order about what I want to do with things. I'm also going to change the focus of the podcast and really refine it into two major areas. So the first thing I really want to do is still focus on an in-depth look at a particular something I find interesting. Maybe it's something social, maybe something economic, trends, proclivities, just something that I've really thought about and just want to explore and see how other people think about it. The other thing I want to do is really focus on the self-improvement and the self-observation, self-analysis aspect that I really focus on in the first podcast. Because part of the reason why I actually made the Binge Thinker was to talk about my experience, talk about inner work, self-analysis, ways that I have, the many different ways that I've tried to look after myself, improve myself for the last couple of years, even longer through that. Because I think that can be a lot of value to people. I think that's probably the most valuable thing I can do is offer up and be a little bit vulnerable and be a little bit honest about the struggles that I've had, and also what to expect in the process of getting better and improving yourself. What are the struggles? What are the key points? What are things that you might encounter that I've already had experience that I can share that can help you on your process? I also want to speak to people about, anyone that's gotten better. If anyone is working on themselves and is really proud about what they've done and want to talk about it or just share their experience, I'd love to hear from you. I think we need to normalize conversations about getting better, working on yourself, having a bit of humility about the things that we've done, going through the process of getting better. And I think we need to normalize that process because we've all got a lot of healing to do. We've all got a lot of shit in the back of our minds, in our subconscious, that we're not even necessarily responsible for, but it's there and it's holding us back. And like I've said, maybe in particular during these lockdowns, during this pandemic, you've had a chance to reflect about what's serving you and what's not. Now is as good a time as any to start that process. And normalizing that, making you feel like it's okay to work on yourself and have those admissions to yourself and to others about who you truly are, I'd love to be a part of that. I also think we need to get rid of this tall poppy syndrome that we've got, where people don't feel like they can speak about their own achievements. That's certainly something that's held me back in this process, is that I get afraid of the judgments of people that want to pull me down for the things that I've done, the things that I'm happy that I've done, things that I've, the progress I've made within myself and want to talk about. That's definitely been a perceived obstacle. But at some point, you just got to say, fuck it, because how are you going to get better? And also, you need to have your own back in this process more than anyone else externally. So if you can't back yourself and pat yourself on the back and share your experiences, you're going to hold yourself a lot. You're going to hold yourself back a lot. Sorry. But that doesn't mean that we can't share and do things for the better. So if you are someone that wants to talk about your processes, your experiences, maybe you want to have a bit of an advice section about what you can do and be open enough to have an honest conversation about where you're at and see what we can do to help out, please reach out, come be a part of it. I think we could have some amazing, groundbreaking conversations, and we're only here to help. And I think it'd be a lot of fun. And I think there's a lot of impact to be made from it too. So reach out if you're interested. What I want to focus on today, this one's a bit of a special ep before I change formats. Hang on one sec. Oh, no, we're all good. I want to talk to you guys today about a business that I'm starting. Business, project, empire, whatever you want to call it. I vacillate between all three in my brain at any one point in time. I'm creating something, and you would get to the point. I'm creating something called Aussie Comedy Network, which is a comedy business idea of mine that I've had for some time. It's something that I am very, very passionate about, something that I'm very excited about. I've been developing this idea for about 18 months now, and quite seriously over the last 6, since I took my sabbatical from my old job. Over the last 6-ish months, I've actually been unemployed or self-employed or unemployed, whatever you want to call it. Slowly working on the development of the platform, the ideas, what I wanted to achieve, doing market research, just doing the grindy stuff. And there's plenty of a grind to come, but making sure I've got all my ducks lined up in a row before I execute. This is something that I am deeply passionate about. I honestly think this is a world first. Please, if I'm wrong, let me know, because then I could pick apart someone else, whoever's doing this, and learn from them. But I think this is a really unique opportunity for comedy, and for anyone that's involved. It's something that I've dreamt about almost daily since this idea really come into fruition. And you know what? I can talk about how much I love it, or I can just fucking tell you about it. How about that? So, also, I'm also doing this because I've put out a video, a call to action to the creators, potential creators, to be on the platform. So this is a good way to expand on what I'm doing, because I'm about to put a video out onto all of the comedy pages in Australia, calling creators to come on board the platform. And they're going to be like, what the fuck is this about? But then this is part explanation, part pitch deck. All right? I'm going to talk to you about my history with comedy, how the idea came to fruition, the gaps I see in the market that I'm trying to address with Aussie Comedy Network, how it works, and what the future holds. And yeah, you make up your mind as whether you like it or not, if you want to be a part of it or not, but this train is rolling regardless. So strap in or get out of the fucking way. So I think I probably should start with me. How did I get into comedy? I've actually always been known for being funny. There are videos of me when I was 2 years old entertaining my family. I've always been known as a funny kid. I got funniest kid in high school, a little certificate when they were doing year 12. I've always had funny as a part of me. There's this great clip on a TV show, or like a show called The Green Room with Paul Provenza, where Bob Saget and Richard Pryor have a conversation, both rest in peace, about discovering when you were funny. And Richard asked Bob, how old were you when you found out you were funny? And for Bob, that was 4 years old. And Richard said, me too. And I could relate to that. I've known I was funny as long as I can remember. I've always been involved in comedy in some way, always trying to make people laugh, always trying to crack jokes. When I was a bully in high school, it wasn't just about being mean. It was also about being pretty particular about my insults in a funny way. That's why I love roast comedy as well, because it's funny and insulting. But yeah, always been involved with funny. Some of my earliest memories all relate to comedy, watching the gala when I was a kid, seeing my dad and my parents laugh at the gala every single year, watching great shows like The Glass House when I was before I should have been watching The Glass House, Skit House, and a whole bunch of other great Australian comedies. Mel Brooks is a big influence. I loved Robin Hood, Men in Tights when I was a kid. So again, comedy has just been a big part of me. The first time I did comedy was probably about 2016. I did an open mic at uni. I don't know, it'd be 2014. That's when I finished. Did an open mic at a uni. First time. I'd always thought about comedy at that point. I was the guy that sort of hid away his comedy ambitions by doing funny statuses on Facebook. So I finally got the courage to do comedy 2014 at a uni open mic night. And they were foolish enough to give me 10 minutes. And if you know, 10 minutes for an absolute noob is a terrible idea. Goodness gracious. But I, did my best, wrote my little jokes. They were fucking terrible. And I got up there and did 7 minutes of silence and awkwardness. And fuck. I've still got the audio somewhere as well, but the cringe. And that killed off my ambitions of doing comedy for a couple of years. It was so traumatic. But so 2016, I think I got back into it. I went to an open mic room here called The Wild. And that was scary as well. Getting on at, 11:30, signing up. The first time I signed up, I didn't get on. So, I waited 4 hours and watched a whole bunch of open mic comedy for nothing. Just sitting there petrified the entire time. And then when I finally got up, bombed again. Same shitty material. Tried to refine it. Was not good. Was shaky. But one of the things I remember saying whilst I was bombing pretty hard was I went, you know what? You guys might not be backing me in, but I'm backing me in. And that got a couple of claps, I think, just for the fact that I was obviously dying up there, but willing to push through. And then from there, I think slowly from 2017 onward, I started doing more open mics, getting a little bit more confidence. Eventually, I ran an open mic room called Mad Dog here in Footscray. And I've sort of evolved as a comedian since then. And yeah, it's a part of my identity. Even though, to be honest, I haven't really focused on my own comedy career in the last 2 years since I went through my breakup in November 2019. I haven't really focused on my own comedy. I'm aware of that. I've pulled myself out of the gigs that I run just because I'm wasting people's time by not being focused on the act of being a comedian. I do, spots at my own rooms occasionally, but less and less because there are people who are better comedians who are more worthy of entertaining the audience than I am. But that doesn't mean I'm not involved in comedy and will always continue to be involved in comedy or some way or form until I die. I can't not let it go. And I'm fine not being a comedian or being an active working comic at the moment because I still get to create pretty fun experiences for people. I still get to watch my friends and great comics get up and do amazing stuff, and I'm entertained too. So I've really taken a bit of a focus more in producing comedy, running comedy rooms. Footscray Comedy Club, I've been running for the last just over 12 months with Sam. It's been a lot of fun. Running rooms is a loveless endeavor or a thankless endeavor sometimes, but I've come to recognize the value of being the person that's responsible for making people laugh at scale and being the person responsible to create the events, to create an experience where comedians can get up and do their thing and they've got an audience that wants to laugh and wants to enjoy themselves, and being the facilitator of that experience. That gives me a lot. And it's something that I've discovered throughout this process, because when I ran that Mad Dog room, it was an absolute nightmare. Gosh, staying up there till 11:30, bombing in my own room because I was so nervous about running a room that really meant nothing, that I didn't focus on my own material. Running a curated room and being responsible for great experiences is rewarding. It's really rewarding. So let's talk about ACN, Aussie Comedy Network. And what Aussie Comedy Network is, it's essentially Australia's digital comedy channel. It's going to start as that, it's a platform on social media, broadcasting great Australian content and comedy every single day. Think of it like Lad Bible, but just for Australian comedy. That's phase one. I've got plenty of other projects that can come out of that, But you need to develop the platform and the brand first. And that's what we're doing by creating this platform, which is, I call it the B2C, the business to consumer aspect of Aussie Comedy Network, which is deliver consistent, high quality, entertaining content to the people, develop a brand, create a platform of visibility, and get the people fucking laughing. So the reason why I've started this is because I just see massive gaps in the market. I've got a marketing background. I've got a marketing degree. I've been in sales for the last 5+ years. I've always been someone that enjoys a deal, enjoys a sale. But I've always thought about the strategy around people's approaches to marketing and sales. It's just something that I've been naturally involved and interested in for a very long time. Before I actually went into my marketing degree, I wanted to be in advertising because I really enjoyed the mix of creative and technical when it came to creating ads. You know, they can be funny, they can be serious, they've got tone, but you're still at the end of the day trying to convince someone to buy something. And I don't know why I'm interested in that, but I just am. And that, permeated into a marketing degree, which I did pretty well at. And then, being in sales and technology sales for most of my professional career. So that's my background. It's not just about sales, though. I've got a significant amount of experience in project management and delivery, stakeholder management, understanding technology and future trends in general, because that's what I used to do as a full-time job. My job was as a technology consultant and salesperson, was to look at people's organizations, understand them in depth, what the organization is doing, what's the future look like for them with technology, how can they adapt to it, and what are the processes and steps involved to help you achieve your strategic goals using technology. So I've always had this perception in my mind for the last 5+ years. And then I started to do that with the comedy industry here in Australia. And I've been watching it and analysing it basically since I've been involved in it, understanding who the major stakeholders are, the peak bodies, the key trends, who's doing what. And I've put together a few observations that I've found which have led me to understand where the gaps are in the market. So the first one is that, number one, Aussie Comedy Network is answering the question, why is there nowhere on the internet to see great Australian comedy? That's it. That's the first market gap, full stop. There is nothing ubiquitous with Australian comedy out in the market. There are great slices of comedy in lots of different places. For example, Brown Cardigan, Batuta Advocate, The Chaser. They're all mostly satire, but also just really focus on particular parts of Australian voiced comedy. But there is no direct channel for Australian comedy anymore. The closest we can really think about, I think is the ABC has a little bit of a comedy section, but even then, they are under constant attack from the Liberal government and Conservative governments trying to defund them. Mainstream media is dying, as we can all see, and getting on mainstream media, I don't know if it really is the way of the future for comedians to make a success anymore. I actually don't believe that at all. And then also, we have the pandemic, which has completely killed comedy rooms, and a lot of the venues that we used to hold comedy in have died off and are not coming back. So there's a lot of things that are in the way of comedy flourishing here in Australia, which is a bit of a shame. I've also found that, actually, maybe I'll take half a step back. With that, so where is that going to come from? The current state of comedy is everyone is off doing their own thing, and it's highly, highly fragmented. In fact, there is actually from what I can tell, there is no peak body for Australian comedy. We have a peak experience, such as the Melbourne International Comedy Festival and the comedy festivals around that, but there's no comedy department. There's creative departments, that are, loosely managed by the arts departments of the state, federal governments. But there's really no comedy department or anything that represents Australian comedy in the marketplace, from what I can tell. The closest thing to that are the agencies that book comedians, like Token and Century, and they've done a great job of, nurturing great Australian talent, bringing them to the masses. But that's only a limited amount of, what's potentially out there in the marketplace. No disrespect to them. They've done a great job in creating household names, giving Australian comedians viability in the market. But I just see a bit of a gap. That it's, you could almost call it the clowns are literally running the circus. The literal clowns are running the literal circus. Because underneath that level of, managed comedians, the gap between open mic comedians, the entry level of comedy, to that level is largely unregulated and is almost the Wild West. Because from what I've found, running shows, particularly here in Melbourne, running shows and getting good quality shows out there are left to enterprising comedians who have some semblance of organization and capability to run shows. And that's it. There's usually one good venue per state when it comes to comedy. So, the Comics Lounge, Rhino Room, Comedy Lounge WA, Comedy Store in Sydney. And there's actually, Brisbane seems to be doing really well. I'm seeing some really exciting stuff come out of there, so good on them. So you've got one peak room, which people sort of strive to get to. And then besides, underneath that, it's just a bunch of enterprising people like myself and a lot of other great room runners doing a thankless, complicated job of trying to put on a comedy show for the people. And most of them largely unsupported. Maybe they've got some marketing experience or some sales experience, but it's largely left to us to sort ourselves out to develop the scene at the grassroots level. It's not anyone's fault. It just is what it is. And the problem why I think a lot of these rooms fail, these low-level rooms and entry-level rooms fail, is because a lot of people, don't have marketing experience or don't know how to run a show. No disrespect to them. I learned that the hard way when I was doing an open mic room as well. There's just no resources out there. There's no resources of how to run effective rooms, what you should be focusing on. And one of the key mistakes a lot of comedians make when they put on a show is they don't necessarily focus on the audience experience. They're mostly putting on shows to get their friends on and to develop clout for themselves so they can get gigs, which is not the right way to go about things. You've got to think about the audience experience. You've got to focus on the fact that we are trying to entertain the people. And if you think about the audience experience and you focus on that, the room grows, the gigs get better, money circulates, and everyone gets better as a result. So one of the key initiatives early on in this piece when it comes to launching ACN is I'm going to be running a workshop on how to run rooms effectively, because Footscray Comedy Club has built itself up pretty well over the last 12-ish months. We've got about 1,200 followers. We've got 3 rooms that are doing quite well. We've gotten government funding. And I honestly believe that there shouldn't be any competition when it comes to comedy. We're all just trying to make people laugh. So if I can help in some way by facilitating resources for people to create more rooms that function well and are successful, more rooms means more quality gigs. More quality gigs means better comedians. Better shows means more money circulating. And that gives us more of an opportunity to be better at what we do and make a living from what we enjoy. And that's part of the ethos around Aussie Comedy Network as well, is that I'm not trying to create competition. I'm trying to rise the tide of where Australian comedy is at the moment. Is that if we all lift, then everyone thrives. And more importantly, we make more people laugh. We make more people happy. And we get the reward of what we do comedy for. Well, at least I hope so. My reward in comedy is making people feel good. And that's one of the things that drives me to make this company. What else did I have around the state of ACN? There's just no peak body. The media landscape is changing. We see that. People often lament, a lot of more established comedians who are rising the ranks lament about the creative decisions made by Australian executives when it comes to media, stymieing creativity for the sake of a demographic or trying to tick a box. And that's just not working. If you try and you just water down comedy and take away the edge of what makes it great, no one's going to like it. So one of the other things that's important is that we protect creativity for creativity's sake. And I'll talk a bit more about that in the values of what ACN represents a bit later on. But I think the key takeaway from this is that I don't think anyone's going to come to save us. Who's going to come and save Australian comedy? If this is the way that things have been done for so long, how are things going to change? I mean, I could be very wrong about this, but I've observed this long enough to take a swing, or else I wouldn't be putting this up. But if the grass level is up to people with assertion and drive and some capability, then we've all got to fucking work together and collaborate. Because there are so many reasons why Australian comedy could get worse. This pandemic is killing off venues. All of the traditional streams of development for creative development in Australia are on the back foot hard. No venues, musicians are, getting out of business, comics are barely surviving, and there's no one that's going to be able to pull us back up except for us, because people don't understand comedy. People that are in comedy understand comedy, but nobody else really does. It's quite an island of an art form. So, it's up to us. So that's the current, right? That's the now. So what is the vision? What are the trends that make me think that Aussie Comedy Network is a viable solution to this? Is that digital is the future. We all know that. Traditional media is dead. Creator economy is coming. Social media platforms are the way to engage with your audience so you can develop your own unique following that resonate with your original voice. So, with that, that's what I'm trying to accelerate, right? So let me talk about the ecosystem that I think the future of comedy is going to be in. It's digital. I've already said that. And it's going to be mobile too. So some numbers that I pulled up here. Mobile devices have overtaken desktops for internet consumption over the last 2 years. So globally, more than 50% of our internet consumption is taken from mobile devices. So, and now you can see that in the way that digital marketers parade their wares. Some of the biggest growing companies in the world are e-commerce platforms, Shopify, those sorts of things, because you've got to create a digital-first experience because of the massive convenience it creates. People in the marketing world prioritize the mobile experience for an application or a website over the desktop experience now. It's just the way it is. We spend, on average, 2.5 hours on our phones today, or a day. And I'll tell you what, I spend way more than that, which is not good. I'm actively trying to work on that at the moment. I shudder every time that I look at my my screen time summary on my iPhone on a Sunday morning. Yuck. But it's where we are. We're glued to this thing, right? It's an extension of us as a human. I am addicted to my phone, and I'll admit it, and there are plenty of people who are the same. So that's where we have to go. We have to go to them. What else have we got? So, while we're on the digital, technology is also enabling this. That's always been my through line in this. Technology is enabling the freedom for us to create what we want, where we want, with little to no gatekeepers. So that enables options around creative flexibility and freedom. But the biggest success factor in that is having an audience that actually aligns and resonates with who you are and what you're creating. And we are seeing the massive success of that come through with direct-to-consumer platforms such as Patreon, right? Authenticity is in. Unique. What makes you unique is in. So everyone that's out there creating things right now is just like finding your own creative comedy voice and honing in on that to really align to who you are is happening in a larger scale with the way that we create content and the media that we create to put it in the market. And by doing that, it doesn't stifle creativity. It lets you be who you want to be. You can take bigger creative risks, and you won't be afraid of being criticized necessarily or being stifled by stakeholders that are involved in your process that don't align to your vision. And that's exciting because one of the key things that, again, people that are climbing the ladder when it comes to creative endeavors always lament about media executives trying to pander things down. So if you're someone that wants to take a creative risk or talk about something that's not necessarily the norm, or you just want that freedom, creating your own unique individual comedy style and brand is in. Look at Andrew Schultz in Flagrant 2. Look at Tim Dillon. Rogan's doing the same thing. All the giants in comedy are creating their own ecosystems and are less reliant on their platforms to serve them. Now, they have to be inextricably linked to them, but that's the way the future is going. We are going to become hyper-personalized in the way we consume things. And we already are, right? Hyper-personalization has been steadily growing for years. It's not on the other side of creating what we want when we want it. The end users are consuming, I hate the word consumer, but it is what it is, are consuming what they want, when they want, where they want it. That's why mainstream media is dying, because you don't have to be fixated at watching your favorite TV show at 7:30 when you could just watch it on your phone at 8:30, while you're having dinner or you've got more plans that are in your way. So based on that, you're going to have to work harder and harder to get people's attention, because where are the main sources of attention now? Where does the attention economy exist? It exists on social media. That's what it is now. It exists on the internet. The entire internet is developed on the attention economy. That's what advertising is. Advertising is interruption of your attention to sell you things. Always has been, always will be. So with this attention economy comes the creator economy. So the creator economy is essentially the transition of power from mainstream, traditional media streams, media personalities, and they're falling out of favor. And now we're going towards a much more personalized, authentic, individual influence in the media landscape. Just think about plenty of creators that are just who they are. They don't have the stiffness and the rigidity of the corporate message being fed down to them from the media. Channel 9 through line or Sky News through line about politics, blah, blah, blah. All of the great new media personalities and people that you probably are listening to nowadays are just fucking people, good or bad. They're just people, but we enjoy that now because we are sick of the disingenuousness of traditional media. So where does that put, people like comedians and creators in the creator economy? This is the way forward for all of us as comedians and creators, is to be a part of the creator economy. Because what do? Create content. And what makes us great at creating content? We are funny. We are individual. We have our own unique voices that can permeate and are hopefully authentic too. And the creator economy is booming. It's huge. The creator economy is currently valued, according to Statistica, anyway, the source is not really important, at $100 billion worldwide. $100 billion. And I read an article in The Economist from someone who was in venture capital about 2022 being the tipping point for the creator economy, where it becomes the leading source of marketing and advertising for brands and for media in general. It just shows heavier fragmentation of where we're headed next. I mean, if you spent any time on TikTok and you're trying to get social media advice like I have been, everyone's ranting and raving about becoming a creator and making $100 to $300 per post for making great, authentic content for brands. Because brands have been vying for authenticity for ages, but we see through the bullshit. And word of mouth has been the biggest, it's always been the biggest and most influential factor when it comes to making purchasing decisions. That's why things like Yelp exist and all those other rating sites. So we're taking it a step further, cutting out the middleman of the broadcast network that has that capability and going straight to the everyman, the people that seem more trustworthy because they haven't been feeding us bullshit for the last 50 plus years of media. And that's why we have a massive opportunity in that space. So if we can leverage the creator economy, then we have a significant opportunity to make a living doing what we love, which is creating over and over and over again. Is it the same as stand-up? No, but this is where we're going. You got to fish where the fish are. It's as simple as that. And people who can adopt to creating digital content and getting their stuff out there are going to be successful. Simple as that. I've told myself, I said this before, and I'll say it again. I had to pull myself away out of my bullshit to get onto this platform and start talking on podcasts and putting myself in front of a camera because I see the immense opportunity in it. And if I want to be a creative, this is what I have to do. I can't just sit behind a camera and not be on social media anymore. It's part of what it is. So if you're out there and you haven't created things yet, get started. Get comfortable, because I'm still going through that process right now. I still have to pull my traumatized self and big myself up before I get in front of a camera, but it just needs to be done. It's the way forward. So that's the vision, right? Digital is the future. The creator economy is coming. It's hyper-personalized. And everything is highly fractured at the moment. So how does ACN, Aussie Comedy Network, solve this? How can we contribute to this and make something of it? Well, the number one thing we can do is scale and compounding. Because if you think about it, like I said, the comedy industry is heavily fragmented. Every performer is basically fending for themselves. If they get into a good room, great. If they make a killing on social media, go viral, fantastic, amazing. But everyone's fending for themselves, trying to put out their own unique voice. And the only way that their voices get bigger is generally, a lot of people are rolling the dice on being viral, which is a mystic formula of chance plus hopefully quality content, or just consistency in putting your content out there every day. And that's a more effective approach. But people are concerned about how much content they can churn out at once. And therein lies a bit of a meritocracy within comedy, which is inherent in it all the time, is that, yeah, you're only as good as what you can put out. And if you're great, it'll find an audience and you'll be a success. So everyone is vying for attention on social media. We talked about the attention economy. It's highly fragmented. So we're all competing for that singular screen in our own divisive way. But by creating a platform where everyone, a highly accessible, ubiquitous platform with comedy, something that is easily associated to comedy in the eyes of the Australian and the global public, which is what ACN is going to be, we can compound that attention into one place, right? And everyone that contributes to the network gets to benefit from it. It's a collective. It's a really simple attention collective. Because, for example, let's just say I've got 5 creators on board and they've all got 1,000 followers each. We get to redirect their attention to Aussie Comedy Network, And that potentially means that instead of 1,000 followers, they've got the eyes of 5,000 followers. And then we get to compound attention into one place, accelerating the visibility and the probability of content becoming viral, people developing their brands, people just becoming more of a success for creating comedy in general. That's the underlying value proposition, is that, hey, let's not just be willy-nilly in all directions. How about we all just collaborate into a centralized place, make this easily recognizable and easily accessible to our target market, which is essentially anyone on the internet that laughs, and all benefit from it. That's a really simple value proposition for what Aussie Comedy Network is. And that's our mission. That is Aussie Comedy Network's mission, is to provide visibility and enable scale, to generate awareness of Australian talent and to enable the benefits of the creator economy for Australian creators. That's what it's for. It is to amplify the unique Australian voice, get it out there. There is demand for it. People want to laugh. People want to laugh now more than ever. And if we can deliver that to them efficiently, then there is going to be value and there's going to be reward for everyone that's involved. And that is something that I entirely believe in. So essentially what comedians are doing right now is content marketing. We are putting content out to deliver value to the end user, to the community with our jokes. And that creates brand awareness. It creates alignment with the individual. It develops our personal brand. So content marketing is a lot of value up front because that's what marketing is in general. There's a great quote. Marketing is the act of being, I think, extremely helpful all the time because you're always talking about, in advertising and in marketing, how your product is beneficial and the solution for your problems. So we are content marketing. By putting jokes up, we go, hey, this guy's funny. Hey, this guy's relatable. Hey, this lady really gets me and I really feel aligned. And then that is what builds the pipeline to monetize your work by converting your followers into subscribers, into Patreon members, into ticket sales. That's how it works. And it's a lot easier for you to do that if you're increasing your visibility into the market. And if you're part of Aussie Comedy Network, that becomes a lot easier because my mission is to amplify that voice, is to amplify your voice. If you've got great, funny comedy, and I think it's worth being on there because I think it's hilarious and fits what Aussie Comedy Network's values are, you're going to be a part of it because I'm for comedy. I'm not here for me. This is about rising the tide. So from there, let me talk about the values of Aussie Comedy Network, right? So I've got 4 key values here. Number 1, funny comes first. I wrote this in the strategic plan, is that we believe in the pursuit of funny and the right to take risks for a laugh. That may mean pushing boundaries, but the intent is more important than the content. And what I mean by that is, I think there's a massive gap in the market. How do I put this? Comedy's become a little bit sanitized. You know, people are afraid of political correctness and all those sorts of things. And I'm not saying political correctness is a bad thing. There is definitely a lot of benefit to it. But to me, the pure form of comedy is about taking swings and taking risks, good or bad. You should have the right to take a swing, but if you're intentful about what you're trying to say, if it's nuanced and it's not intending to hurt people, then it shouldn't be silenced and it shouldn't be censored. I've got friends that I say heinous things to all the time, and we laugh and it makes us closer. Why? Because the intent is not there. There's no intent to harm. It is the fun and the joy of throwing words around and throwing language around for a laugh. And that's what I want to ensure that we've got in Aussie Comedy Network, is that, are you trying to be funny? Is there a nuance to what you are doing? Are you trying to harm people? If those boxes are ticked, then why not take a risk? Why not have a bit of an edge? I think people miss that in their everyday lives is a little bit of a shake-up, a little bit of something different. So I'm all about protecting the art of comedy from my perspective when it comes to being on ACN. Comedy for the community. So that's value number 2. Is we want to represent all walks of life and celebrate the rich and diverse tapestry of Australia's community. We want to laugh together and celebrate what makes us unique. And that also feeds into the first point, is that Australia is changing. It's diverse. It's everything that we talk about in the politicized systems that we've got. You know, I talk about the migrant experience. There are so many different perspectives of comedy and Australia and what that means to us. And I want to celebrate that. And again, leading back to comedy and is about making people laugh. It's about connecting people through humor. It's about finding the commonalities in what we find funny to provide levity and understanding. You can't fight with someone and laugh with them. It just does not work. So with this community part it's about representation. It's about giving voices to people. I think there is a massive hole in the voice of Australian youth, in the more moderate voice of Australian youth. And that comes through in comedy a lot of the way. And that's something that I want to facilitate as well, is that we are here to make people laugh. All breadths of backgrounds, all ranges of perspectives. We just want to make people laugh. That's one of the ethoses that I've had at my comedy clubs, Footscray Comedy Club. The ethos, I think, is literally comedy for the community. But the same thing, with different backgrounds, different genders, different races, it doesn't matter. We're getting into a same room and we're laughing together about what we have in common. And that's one of the key values that I've got in this. Empowering the creators. We believe in an abundance of opportunity for all and understand the challenges of creating something unique and engaging for the benefit of others. We aim to empower creators with the tools, skills, and knowledge to create great things that spread joy through humor in the community. Yeah, this is not about getting something over other people. This is about rising the tide of Australian comedy. People want to make people laugh, but they don't understand how digital marketing works, or they don't know how to produce things, or they don't know how lighting and camera setups work. And it's hard for us to find that information that is relevant to us because of how unique the things we do are. So there's going to be plenty of resources behind the scenes for creators to help them get better at their craft. Maybe we've got things on joke writing. I've got things on running a room. Talking about digital marketing and understanding the underlying systems that comedy now operates in. We're going to be providing those resources to people, so the quality of comedy is lifted by the knowledge that's behind it. And we don't all have to make the same mistakes over and over again, which I saw plenty of times in corporations, is that if people had a standardized, basic understanding of the mechanisms and the systems that underlie what they're doing, they'd be much more efficient at it and would become better creators and comedians immediately. So that's what we're going to do about this as well. And the big one is community, not competition. I am not trying to compete with anyone here. I am trying to bring the people and bring Australian comedy together on a centralized platform so we can all get better. It's just going, hey guys, can we work together in some way to serve the people, to make them laugh, and then everyone benefits from it. It's as simple as that. I don't think there should be competition in comedy. We're all just trying to make people laugh. We should be celebrating each other for killing on stage and makes us work harder. We should be celebrating the fact that people are successful, because everyone that gets better in Australian comedy rises the tide for everyone else, and it raises their awareness of what creative talent we have here in Australia. And that's what I'm trying to embark on here as part of that value, is that people think scarcely in comedy in Australia. And we shouldn't have to, because laughter is unlimited. Joy is unlimited. I don't think of myself in the comedy industry. I'm in the joy industry. Joy is my commodity here. That's what I'm trying to extract out of people. And is there a scarcity in laughter? Absolutely not. So why should we be afraid and try and compete with each other when we can just work together over a common good, which is to serve the people and make them laugh? And yeah, that's a big part, guys, is that some of the people that have come up to me and go, you know, what's in this for me, or what are you trying to do here? Get one over me. I go, no, it's not that at all. It is just working together. And that can be hard because comedians, we're constantly searching for validation. We're very insecure. And it's no shit. I mean, we do some really vulnerable stuff by putting ourselves out there authentically for the people to judge quite often. And we bomb and we get our feelings hurt so many times by being rejected on stage. It's natural for us to think skeptically about what's out there. But hopefully we can change that. I actually think that's about it that I wanted to cover off, guys. I've talked about the vision, the values, the gaps, what I think is going to help ACN propel forward just by catching the waves of some new trends. And you know what, man? I'm fucking excited. I am really excited about what I think this could do for the people that are involved. You know, here, I'll share with you as a bit of a closing thing, some of the dreams that I've had around what does success look like for this in the future. You know, I want to get into original content. I think we need to put out more podcasts and content that focus on the unique Australian voice, address our problems in the world, our perspectives, and just put great people out there that can talk about these things openly and be the comedian, be the jester that the kingdom needs to provide levity to our very fucked situation in a lot of times. You know, I'd love to build a studio up, have great comedians doing podcasts and shows, you know, putting things out there that they believe in, and really enjoying the process of creation, and really also just valuing doing what they love and being able to be paid for it and make a living from it. I'd love to see as many great comedians and creators as possible making a living, doing what they love. And if what I can do with this platform can help them, then I've won. I have fucking succeeded. That's what I value in this, is being responsible and having a hand in creating impacts to spread joy and just make people feel good. That's all I want out of this, to be honest, is just my unique thumbprint or fingerprint on a lot of people enjoying themselves, having a laugh, and being able to facilitate and enable funny, interesting, passionate people to do that every day, every single day. You know, I want to see people with great podcasts doing original things, sharing great clips, just enabling creativity at scale. And if you're making people feel good, fucking great. I've done my job. So, it's going to be fucking exciting. This is something that I can't let go of. I really can't. And I honestly think if you're not involved now, that's fine. You'll just get involved later. You'll catch the wave. But, hey, if I've convinced you and this sounds exciting, what can you do to support me and support the business? Well, we launch on February 27th. We're going to go out in a big way on all the social media platforms. If you're a content creator or a comedian and you want to get your stuff on there, reach out to me. Reach out to us on the website. Email me, DM me. Give me a call. I actually own 1-800-COMEDY here in Australia. So I always thought that was a bit of fun. Give me a buzz. I'm paying a lot of money to get that fucking thing, so you may as well use it, right? if you are not a comedian or a creator and you want to get involved and support what I'm doing, when we kick off, share the content, share the videos, just get the word out there, recommend it to your friends and your family. What does the end user get? What does you as the audience get? You're going to get great Australian comedy to your devices whenever and wherever you like. That's our promise to you. And yeah, I'm going to try and be a mouthpiece and an amplifier of Australian comedy and continue to do so indefinitely. God knows. God knows where this is going to go. I've said this before and I'll say this again. I got no fucking idea how this is going to turn out. This is a massive wild swing. I haven't found anywhere else on the planet that's doing this right now. And if there is something out there, let me know. I'd be keen to understand and learn from them. But yeah, get involved. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. It's all Aussie Comedy Network. Share the bits you love to your friends and your family and whoever you think needs to see it. And just get some word of mouth out there, guys. This is a truly unique grassroots opportunity. And I'm fucking excited. I'm excited. I'm scared. Don't get me wrong. It's scary. But the reward is too good to give up. Not just for me, but for everyone that's involved. So that's it, guys. There's my story. I've been waiting quite a few months now. Oh, my contact's about to fall out. Sorry. There it is. Sorry for the people on video. I've been waiting to get this out for some time. It's scary to put myself out there like this, particularly if a lot of people in the comedy industry see this, but I got to speak my truth. That's what this is about. It's exciting. Get involved. Let's see where this takes us. Thank you very much for your time and your attention. If you do want to get in touch with me, please reach out to me on @JRaymond on Instagram. Also, reach out to me on the 1-800 number, 1-800-COMEDY. Give me a call. It links to my mobile. If you want to learn more about Aussie Comedy Network, check out the website. I built that a few weeks ago to understand this more in a bit of depth. Follow us on all the social media platforms. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Hey, if you want to come and check out a show that I'm running, Footscray Comedy Club on Instagram. Also got a website for that as well. We've got a free outdoor show on February 26th, the day before we launch. That's going to be a little bit of a launch party as well. So we got local government funding, thanks to the City of Maribyrnong for that, to run a free outdoor show for the community of Footscray at Byron Square. I've got an amazing lineup, got a great band that's going to open the show. So it's music and comedy and community. It's like a little block party vibe, which I'm really, really excited about as well. So yeah, check out Footscray Comedy Club on Instagram mainly and our website as well. For the details of that, grab yourself a free ticket. If you want to learn more about Aussie Comedy Network, like I said, hit me up on j@aussiecomedynetwork.com.au. There's a contact form on the website. Hit us up in the DMs. It's just basically me and one other dude at the moment anyway. And yeah, thanks for your time, guys. Thanks for listening. From next week, the format will change. It's something a little bit different, but we're onto something here. And I'm glad you're a part of it. I'm glad you're here early. And let's see how this baby grows, huh? Anyway, I've been Jameel Raymond. Thanks for listening to The Binge Thinker. I'll see you next week.